Now that we've completed a general MTM admin overview, let's talk about scheduling classes. In order to schedule a class, we'll need to add courses, locations, and instructors. This section is focused specifically on organizations who provide internal training only. If you're a commercial learning provider and provide training for content organizations such as Microsoft or Novell, please refer to the next section, as this will focus on steps that you'll need to take to schedule those classes. Some items to keep in mind when you're scheduling classes. In order to collect data, evaluations must be attached to a class. By default, once you schedule a class, the class will have an evaluation attached. You'll want to keep in mind that it's the best practice to use standard learning methodologies when creating your classes. This includes instructor-led training, online facilitated training, or self-paced web-based training like e-learning. If you're scheduling an ILT or an online facilitated class, you'll want to add one or more instructors depending on how many instructors teaching the session to the class. Let me walk through now how to navigate to the Class Add page in MTM. In Metrics That Matter, to start adding a class, you'll want to go to the Administration tab, Classes, and click Add. You'll then be presented with the Class Add field in MTM. Some of you may have an additional field here that says Learning Provider. If you're a multi-vendor organization, you'll want to pick which vendor you want to schedule the class for. Why don't you take a moment and navigate to the Class Add page for your organization. Go ahead and click Administration, and under Schedule Training, you'll find Classes. Go ahead and click Add. And if you are a multi-vendor organization, you'll want to select the correct learning provider from the drop-down. The next step in scheduling the class is adding the course. In MTM, course describes the content that's delivered, for example, Project Management Fundamentals, whereas a class is a specific delivery or event in which the course content was delivered. So there are specific dates around it, there's a specific instructor, there's a learning methodology, and so on. Let me show you how to add a course in MTM so that you can start working towards scheduling the class. On the Course Add page in MTM, you'll want to choose your course. Best thing to do is always to search and see if the course exists. You can see here a short list on this demo account, but this is how you're able to search for courses that exist already in MTM. You can see that there's no returns, so we're going to want to go ahead and add the course. Click on Add Course. Once you're presented with the Add Course pop-up, you'll want to enter the course information here. You can enter the course name, which is what appears in reporting in MTM, and if you want to input additional course description information, that'll populate the administrative side of MTM only. You'll want to select a default post event. That's going to help in assigning the evaluation to the classes when you schedule it. Define a course type of course this is. This feeds into our benchmarking. If you have multiple courses to add, you can save and add new, and that'll present you with another field where you can just click Save and add that individual course. Has been added. So this is now a course that is available for you to schedule classes against. Why don't you go ahead and take a moment to do this yourself in Metrics That Matter. To add a course in MTM, on the Class Add page, you want to make sure that the course doesn't already exist in your account by typing the course name in the course box and allowing the filtering capabilities to filter down to courses that meet the search criteria. If it's not found, you want to click the Add link to the right. Enter the course name, select the default post-event survey, select the course type, and click Save. The next item that you'll have to define that will be specific to your organization is locations. Most organizations use city name as location, and the alias, which you'll be prompted to fill in when you add a new location, can be used in a URL for students to access evaluations. We're going to talk about that a little bit further in the session, but just know that this is something that will feed into the evaluation collection process down the road. In MTM, in order to assign a location for a class, you'll want to first, again, search for the location to see if it exists. And when your search finds no results, you'll want to go ahead and add the location. You'll be presented with the location pop-up box, and you'll be required to fill in some of the information on this page. You want to define the organization that you're assigning it to. This is our demo account organization, so that's correct. You want to name the location. Again, a lot of times users use city names as a location. Then you'll want to create the alias. This needs to be a one-word alias. Like I said, will feed into the creation of a URL that students can access to complete their evaluations. And we'll talk about that more in the section on collecting evaluations. You'll want to define the time zone. And you can put additional information in if you want, but it's not required. You can click Save, or Save and Add New if you're going to be adding multiple locations, and your location will have been added. It's now available for you to schedule your class against. Why don't you go ahead and take a moment to choose the location for the class that you're scheduling today. On the Class Add page, you'll want to check the location drop-down and see if the location already exists. If it doesn't, go ahead and click the Add link to the right of the field, enter the location name, enter an alias, select the time zone, and click Save. The very last item that you'll need to define that will be specific to your organization in order to schedule a class is your instructor. We'll be adding instructors so that instructors can be scheduled against classes, and also will create instructors' accounts that instructors can access if you would like them to in order to run reports against the class data for the classes that they have taught. On the Class Add page, you'll want to take a look at the instructors that are in your list here. If there is an instructor that you're trying to schedule a class for that is not in that list, click Add. You're then presented with a pop-up to add a new instructor. Choose what group they're in. This will define their rights and make sure that they can only see data for classes that they taught. You'll then want to enter their first and last name, their email address. This will be important if you're going to be collecting data after they have taught a class. Then you'll define a login for them. And just keep in mind that MTM logins need to be unique for the whole system, so you want to do something that is unique for that instructor. If you want to email the instructor their login access directly, keep this checked. They'll then be sent an email from MTM with their login and steps on how to create a password to access the system. If you want to manage that directly, you can uncheck that box and go ahead and click Save. Here you can see the instructor has been added to the list over here and is ready to be assigned to this class. On the Class Add page, if the instructor is not in the instructor box on the left, click Add to the right of that. You'll want to select the correct instructor group, enter the instructor name and email, and their login. Remember, if you don't want the instructor to get their login information, uncheck the box that designates that, and then click Save. Once you have added courses, locations, and instructors, you're ready to fill in the rest of the information for the class and schedule the class. You'll want to make sure the learning methodology is correct. Perhaps you designated that already after assigning the course. You'll also want to make sure the start and end date of the classes are correct. And then if you want to customize the class name any further, you can do that so that the class name displays a little bit differently to the students accessing the surveys. If you're going to be adding multiple classes, you can click Save and Add New, and you'll be presented with a blank screen here to walk through the process again. Or if you're just adding one for now, you can click Save. Why don't you take a few minutes, go ahead and officially add your class. On the Class Add page, complete the remainder of the Class Add form, which includes selecting an appropriate learning methodology and designating the start and end dates. Again, you can customize the class name if you'd like. You don't have to. Then go ahead and click Save.